Okay, all the teams are qualified to champs now, so I'm going to do a power rankings for champs. So bottom tier is going to be, for me, EDG, Trace, Billy, and Foot. So the Chinese teams, they were once really, really strong. They have pretty strong mechanics overall. You used to be able to get them pretty high placings. As time's gone on, it's been harder and harder for them to get those high placings. I think mainly because I think teams overall have got better mechanically surrounding them. Team Heretics, Gen G, just to name a few, really strong mechanics across the board, and then they're also strong strategically. So I think it's really hard for the Chinese teams to really get high placings, because that's basically every international team at the moment is really, really close to their mechanics, and they have better strats than them. So they don't no longer really have the main strength they used to have. And that's kind of that's kind of the main problem for China right now. And I think they've got a lot of catching up to do. For me, Foot, very on and off, like hot and cold type team, where I think they have a decent chance of like getting upset by teams. Unfortunately though, I don't think they have much of an upper range where they can upset teams better than them. I think it's pretty, I think it's pretty hard for them to upset teams better than them. So we'll have to see. I think CNED and Yettajay are both really good players. I think they do have that capacity. So we'll just have to see, but I do assume they're going to be towards the bottom. I don't think they're very strong as a high, like they don't have a very high level as a team. I think that they rely a lot on CNED and Yettajay. Next is 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, which is going to be Vitality, Sentinels, Talon, and FPX. So FPX, the best of the Chinese teams in my opinion, have the highest chance to upset teams generally. Internationally, I think they're just the best internationally out of the Chinese teams. Talon, I think they're pretty reliant on Primi overall, and I think that that will continue. But I also think if they can surround Primi with the right pieces and the right strats and play around him properly, they can get higher than this. I just think maybe we'll see the real effect of this next year rather than this year, but we'll see. Sentinels, I think, have fell off since they were winning stuff, but I think they have a chance to obviously come back and be in like the top 6 at least. So we'll just have to see if their level really like improves in this tournament again, because they definitely have the capability to get top 4, top 2. So we'll just have to see. Vitality, this is a safe placing for me. I think they're better than this, but I do think that it's safe because I don't know how they're going to perform internationally. But I do think there's a decent chance that they will perform pretty well, better than Team Heretics potentially, who they did beat before. So I do think they will. There's a decent chance that they will finish higher, but we'll have to see. I just don't know how they're going to perform internationally. Next is actually Team Heretics and Lev. So I do think both these teams are pretty good. I just don't think they're better than the teams above them. That's basically it, honestly. I do think they have. I think Team Heretics have been a bit weaker overall than they used to be. We could obviously see a resurgence once again, but I don't think we're going to. I think Lev are pretty good, but I think that they really rely on having Tex and Aspas, mainly Tex actually, show up. And I think if Tex shows up, they will win a lot of games. If he doesn't show up as much, they will struggle, because he really does seem like, funnily enough, he doesn't seem like the initial one that really needs to be like the linchpin for the team. But looking at their games, he really does seem like if he performs, they tend to win. So next for me is going to be, I think I've already had like a toss up for this, but I think it's actually G2 and Paper X, because I do think that, even though I think Crew might actually be in the top 4 again, to be honest, so I'll just have to see. But okay, so G2, I think G2 actually have a decent chance of getting to finals as well, but I think they really have to like beat, in my opinion, the best 2 teams in the world currently, for that to happen. I could also be completely coping with my top 2, by the way, but we'll have to see what happens. So G2, I think, really, really underrated teams still. And I think they have, I think 5th, 6th might be an insult to them as well, to be honest. I think they could easily get 3rd, 4th. I think they could be better than Crew internationally as well, but I'm pretty high on Crew. I think Crew is, once again, it was also another underrated team that just seems to keep getting into international events. And I think, at some point, someone's going to be rating them at some point. And next is Paper X. I think Paper X, I think they're pretty good. I just think that they struggle to close games when there's pressures on, when the pressure's on. And I also think as well they have a pretty crazy style. They can be very hot or cold. They can lose on the day because they don't play very well. They have some crazy comps that don't necessarily set themselves up they don't really set themselves up very well for success sometimes, because they have some crazy comps. And they play pretty crazy in game as well, and it can it causes them a lot of problems. So I do think that Paper X, while being a really good team, will end up falling short of third, fourth, and finals. So next for me is DRX and Crew. So I think this is like a toss-up for me. I think DRX and Crew, pretty interchangeable with their levels, but I think DRX is really strong, and I think there's a decent chance that DRX could easily be in finals as well, in place of Gen G, in place of Fnatic, which I'm going to place now because you already know what I'm going to say, so I might as well place them. And I think Crew also has a decent chance. I honestly think that this top 6 is one of the strongest top 6s we've ever seen. I even think that if you look at the 7th, 8th as well, like you're thinking like, you know, these people can go into like infiltrate the top 4 probably as well, like these two teams can. At least Heretics can, maybe not so much Lev. But Lev, easily Team Heretics could find themselves up in 3rd, 4th. So this is like one of the strongest levels, in my opinion, that we've ever had at a tournament. It just feels like every team is good. This is probably Cope. Full disclaimer, this is probably Cope. I mean, it's probably more likely something like this, or DRX like this, or something. It probably is something like this, maybe G2 even higher than them, or something like that. It probably is something like this. But for me, I think Fnatic's can be back this year, or can be back this champs. Because I think their level moving in, while it hasn't been great, and they definitely had some weird comps, I think they're gonna sort stuff out for champs, and they're gonna get. I mean, I say sort stuff out like they've failed completely, but yeah, I think they're gonna be pretty good in champs. But yeah, that's kind of how the tier list is for me. This is the final tier list for me. It's a bit safe in places, a bit coped in others, like Fnatic, for instance. But we'll just have to see. Really, this is just sort of my opinion moving into champs. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. If you have any comments about who you think is going to be, if I'm completely wrong and if I am really coping, then put it in the comments, and I'll see you in my next one.